We just wrote a $6.6 million check to buy all this dirt you see right behind us. Here's what we're gonna do to turn this into a luxury 33 home community here in Canton, Georgia. First things first, we've got to develop it. So before you can even start to think about building 33 $1.2 to $2 million homes, you have to go out and you actually have to get approval from the county to do that through something called an LDP or land disturbance permit.
That's exactly what it sounds like. That is the county giving you permission to disturb that land. And before you can even start that process, you have to work with your engineer to come up with your construction plans to submit to the county before they can approve them and release your LDP. In this set of plans, it's going to consist of your site lot layout, your sewer water profiles, any DOT plans that they're going to want you to abide by, as well as any erosion and sediment control for the site while you're under construction. And these plans are super important because they keep you on track while you're going through the development process through all the different phases. And it's also something the county can keep on file in order to hold you accountable as you're going through the phases of this development. So as you can see here, this is the land disturbance permit, that LDP that Cherokee County has released to us in our name, Owens Mill Development LLC, to develop this piece of property behind us. So like I was mentioning, this is a very lengthy process. So under this LDP right here is the construction plans for this unit. We were actually fortunate enough that we purchased this property with paper lots. What that means is this property actually came with the LDP in hand. So that means as soon as we were able to close on the land, we were able to start developing as soon as we closed. So you can see these plans started way back in February of 2025, and we started development in the end of December of 2025. So this is almost a year-long process of revisions to this plans, reviewing these plans, getting all the different stamps from Cherokee County. So you can see here we've got the Cherokee County Engineering Department, the Cherokee County Stormwater Department, also the Fire Marshal. Even though this piece of property has no vertical structures on it already, the Cherokee County Fire Marshal has to approve these plans. So as we go into this set of plans, you can see the index here, very long bunch of sheets in this set of plans. So we'll flip through kind of those main sections like I was mentioning earlier. As you start in, you've got your preliminary subdivision plan. This is going to lay out the lots for the subdivision. And we can jump into some of the street cuts. So this is a small cutout section of certain streets, so you know where to set certain curb heights, things like that.
So the first step after you go out and acquire that LDP is going to be clearing, grubbing, and hauling off all of the trees that are on the site.
So as you can see behind us, we're standing in an area that has recently been cleared. It has not quite been grubbed yet. So what that entails is, like Dallas mentioned, getting rid of all of the trees in the area where we need open space. So we're gonna come in, we're gonna cut those trees down. We're actually going to haul those trees off and use them later on for paper, cardboard, lumber, things like that. So this lumber does not go to waste. So it does get hauled off by a clearing company and will get later reused in other products that we may even see back in these houses down the road. That is the clearing process. So the grubbing process is going to be getting rid of all the under roots once those trees are taken out. So you don't want to have big rooty dirt and to move around and things like that. So we'll actually come in here with big dozers with rakes on them and get all these roots out of those areas that we need cleared. And then we will haul all that off, whether it's going to, like I said, a paper mill, the good lumber, or all the bad stuff will go off to a burning process where it will either get turned into charcoal or get burnt down and distributed in an inert landfill.
And if you want to continue to learn about the development process and watch this piece of land turn into a 33 lot subdivision, hit the subscribe button right down below. So after you clear and grub and haul off all of the trees that are necessary to be dropped in the neighborhood, you're going to go into the grading process. But prior to this step, there might be some additional erosion control that's required. I know Tyler touched on erosion control earlier, but he can tell us a little bit more about the erosion control and grading you see going on behind us.
So as we jump into phase one of our grading process, we do expect this process, the entirety, to take about 4 months from start to finish. So we expect to finish about middle of May. So as you can see behind me, we've got a little bit of that phase one erosion control up as we start grading on this detention pond behind us. So we've got our orange, which is going to be your tree safe or your clearing limits. This is sometimes, but not always, associated with the property line of the entire property. It can be within certain areas of the development where we are actually not going to clear trees, because this is not a mass clearing community. A lot of people see that with a lot of these big builders. They come in and mass grade everything. That is something we're actually not doing in this development. We are saving some areas of the trees. So also in front of that orange fencing, you're gonna see 2 rows of Type C DOT silt fence. So what that is that is a woven fabric with a wire mesh backing on rebar stakes that actually contains the area of the dirt we are moving around. So what that's gonna do is prevent any washouts, erosion control, the dirt, keep it all in one location as we establish this area behind us, like I said, which is going to be that detention pond. So we are currently grading and filling up this dam so we can then have a place to send all the water to as we jump into the next phases of grading. And if you're interested in these processes in more detail, we are going to be coming out with more videos on each process of the development process. Like behind us, this grading, we're going to go in depth with our Vice President of Development here at SR Homes in some of these videos, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for those in-depth videos.
Now, after all of your grading is complete, you are ready to go into installing your sewer lines for the neighborhood.
So once you, like Dallas said, once you complete those phases of grading around the May, April area, we want to start installing all these sewer pipe for this community. So that entails all of your stormwater management lines as well as your sewer lines for all the waste that these homes are going to accumulate. So we will, now that the site has been established by the grading phase, we actually kind of have a layout of where those streets are going to go, where the curb is going to be, so we can set those pipes accordingly and drop those manholes where they need to go.
As you guys can tell, this is a very intensive and long process, taking this thing from raw dirt to a neighborhood. After we go out, we grade the neighborhood, we go out, we put the sewer line in, then it comes to installing the storm drain.
So with your stormwater system, it's all going to start underground. So like Dallas mentioned, after we have established that grading that we talked about, you're actually going to have a kind of site map of where you can actually put your pipes in accordance to the construction plan that goes all the way back to the pre-LDP process. So actually under the ground where we are standing currently is an existing 18-inch RCP pipe, which that's a reinforced concrete pipe that is going to be used for some of this stormwater management system. So attached to those 18-inch pipes under the ground are going to be these inlets or these manholes that you can see here behind us that actually give you access to those pipes in the ground. And in this process, all your manholes are going to be set in preparation for the next phase, which is going to be your curb and gutter.
Next up on the list is going to be your curb, your gutter, and most importantly, your entry monument. This is when the neighborhood, or the raw development, should I say, actually starts to feel like a neighborhood, and you can really start to envision how the homes are going to be sitting on the lots.
So like Dallas said, after we have completed that sewer and water phase, we can now come in and form up and pour the concrete curb as well as those concrete gutters that funnel all that water into the stormwater management system that the construction plans have designed for us. So, and then after we form up that curb and really get the feel for the streets, we can jump straight into the construction of that entry monument before we jump into the next phase of paving.
And let us know down in the comments, if you were living in a $2 million home in a 33-lot neighborhood, what would you want to see in the entry monument? Would you want something a little more understated? Would you want something a little bit more out there in regards to stone and rock and design? Let us know down below. And then the last two phases of actual development are going to be your paving, going in and paving the roads, and your as-built.
It's not as easy as it sounds when it just comes to paving your streets and getting your as-built. So the phases of paving can kind of take some time depending on the weather. You have to have the correct temperature to pave asphalt, as well as you have to pass your roll test on your compaction before you can pave your asphalt. So once your streets are paved and you've passed that process, you're going to get with your engineer, your surveyors, and the county and have your as-built site plans developed. So what that means is we make changes out here in the field all the time on the fly, depending on how the site is actually laying out in all the different phases. All those changes have to be documented and reported to the engineers, to the surveyors, so they can be directly printed on that as-built plan, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a plan of how the site is actually built, not the preliminary construction plans that we started with. Any changes, any red lines, any height differences in the dirt, any areas where we cut more dirt out or we filled more dirt, all that has to be documented on that as-built, so we are working with the correct set of plans when we move into the construction process.
Now, to finally close out the development portion of the process, you're going to go out and you're going to get your model home permit, and you're going to get your final plat for the neighborhood.
So as we start the process of getting our final plat, before that final plat's actually signed off and released, we can go ahead and pull 1 to 2 model permits depending on the size of the subdivision, how many lots are in there. So what that allows us to do is that allows us on the development side to then hand over the subdivision to construction so they can go ahead and get started and get that product on the ground to then start showcasing what we're going to offer in this community, as well as start with sales and get a sales process put together for this community as well. All while this is going on with your model permit, we're also going to be going through the final plat process. So after our as-builts have been conducted and completed, we will then submit those to the county for what is called the final plat. So that is the stamped final plans of this developed community that then can be turned over and submitted for permits on the building side.
So this model home process is going to be the next phase that we jump into, obviously after we get that permit. But the work on the model home is actually already going on right now. We're already in touch with a couple of different architects trying to work out our plans. We already have actually a marketing plan of one of the homes that we're going to be putting in this neighborhood, which we'll throw up onto the screen right now. And also we're starting to work with designers and do competition walks where we're walking around looking at the other homes that are in the area, as well as pulling inspiration from homes that are not just in this area to figure out what's actually going to go into that model home, what structural options we want to offer, the level of customization that we're going to offer, which in this case is going to be quite a lot, and also what we want our standard finishes to be, and figure out what options we're going to offer at the design center. So let me know down below if you were going to be buying, like I said earlier, a $1.3 to $2 million home. What are some features you would want to see in the home? What are some things in the floor plan you would want to see? We're open to any and all suggestions.
So as you can see, we take this process from start to finish very seriously, and we are not just a builder here at SR Homes, we are a developer. So we have seen this dirt from raw land. Like we said, we purchased this land for $6.6 million, and we are taking this all the way from the raw land, all the way to the completed home, all the way to the first homeowner. So we are along the entire process, and we are here to put the best product foot forward.
So if you want to follow along and see how this entire process goes, again, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to be documenting this journey every single step of the way with more videos showing off, hey, what are the specifics that go into the grading, the sewer, the storm, everything we've touched on in this video. There's going to be more videos just like this coming out detailing all of those processes along the way. So again, hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys for watching.